Hi, Frank. How are
Hi,
you?
Rachel.
So to start, how's it feel to be a hot cartoon?
Right? I
Wait, how
mean,
does that feel?
it's a little depressing because I'm like, oh man, what could have been?
You just have to let your hair go gray and just kind of
I
like fall into the.
listen. People always say when I first went to do the hair test, they go, "What kind of dye do you use in your hair?" I go, "I swear to you, I've never dyed my hair, and at my age, it's still dark and fresh. But that's it. The rest of my cartoon is much more attractive than I am."
It is. I do love Rick Flag Sr. because he's just like a sad dad who doesn't have his son anymore, and like we get to see those moments, which is kind of fun in a show like this where everything else is kind of chaotic. Is that fun for you as an actor, especially in a voice performance, to get to like have those more real human moments with a character like this?
Yeah, that's such a great question. It keeps me grounded. It keeps the character grounded in reality and authenticity. And I write it on the top of my scripts. I write, my son is gone on
Hmm.
every page, whether I'm doing Peacemaker or I'm doing Creature Commandos, because I never want to forget that that is a thing that's really happened in my life. Not that I have to hit the audience over the head with it, but it does indicate a little bit of what you just said, that kind of innate sadness, which makes the other moments even more kind of fun because he comes away from it for a second.
Yeah, and you, like you said, either going from Peacemaker to this, you get to kind of you're not only a cartoon version, but you get to like have the joy of also seeing this in the live action.
Right.
How for you does that change with how you do a performance, going from live action to the cartoon or vice versa?
Yeah, and I don't know if this is right. We'll soon see, but I haven't really changed much. There are because the circumstances are different. I adjust my behavior to the circumstance. But as far as who Rick Flag Sr. is, he's pretty much the same guy
Mm.
through all these things, and he deals with what's happening, sometimes in different ways. But he's also professionally in different places in his life in each of these things. So that's another thing to take into consideration.
And how is it for you just collecting superhero franchises at this point and like getting to be, dipping your toes in both worlds, much like James Gunn has, but like getting to be in now the larger DC universe after having been in Marvel for so long?
Yeah, I mean, having come from the Marvel universe in a secondary way, and then to step into this in a more prominent way, has really been. I really can sink my teeth into a character. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Mhm.
before, it was little doses of something, and then it was gone. And my screen time in that world was not a lot, and yet the character was impactful. And I can tell you that by just walking down the street and who comes up to me, right? And so now I understand the importance of each character in these worlds. And now I have the opportunity to kind of take that to the next level. And it's not been lost on me, the responsibility. And I love it. I really do.
Well, and I also love too, there's a moment in the first episode of Creature Commandos where like we get the explanation of Rick Flag Sr.'s relationship with his son and how he was like, we were 18, we had a kid. Because it is kind of funny to be like, yeah, how's Frank Grillo Joel Kinnaman's dad? Like, how does that one work out?
Right.
And it's like I like that they're like, here's your explanation for everyone
Yep.
wondering what's going on. But it's funny for us, but as an actor, do those little details help you when you do have to switch back and forth between cartoon and live action?
Absolutely. And I'm the kind of actor, I ask a lot of why questions and then a lot of how questions. And then logic is a big driving force in my life. No matter what the genre is, if it's not logical within the circumstance, it's hard to act. So I do anyway. I need a real logical explanation about how this is possible. Otherwise, I'm going to manufacture something, and that's not good. And so there you have the answer. It's like, okay, now it makes sense.
Mhm.
I saw Joel not too long ago. I was like, no, I can't be your father. I'm not that old. I will not acquiesce to this.
You're like, I don't know about that one. But I also love, in Peacemaker, we had the like really like surprisingly sad moments where we get to see John Cena really acting. And then in this show, it's off the rails and weird and funny, but then you do have also heartfelt moments, which I attribute to how James Gunn kind of writes. But is it is do you have the freedom in something like Creature Commandos to kind of explore a character like Rick Flag Sr. in those more darker moments? Or was it just, well, we did this in Peacemaker. I don't have to necessarily do it in this cartoon outside of the
Absolutely.
writing?
It works autonomously from one another. And you need to do the work separately and understand, again, because of it is different worlds.
Mm,
So you're in different circumstances. And you really gotta, you know, to me, good acting is always really less about the words and more about the behavior. And that comes from what you're experiencing. And each of those worlds, my character is experiencing different things. And you
mhm.
really need to approach each one of those separately and for what it is. And here's the brilliant thing. I always say script, script, script. Everything else is everything else. And James Gunn delivers 10 out of 10 times. So it's almost actor proof. Almost.
And for my last question, I do want to ask about Bride and Rick Flag, because I love in that first episode, those two had like a little back and forth and were in charge of it. I was like, great, I'll watch the two of them lead me wherever I need to go.
Right.
But how is building relationships like that when you're, as far as I'm aware, filming it on your own, but then it comes alive so well in the final product?
Yeah, again, it's a testament to the words. It's a testament to the writing and to the directing because he
Mm,
knows what the final product needs. I can't visualize when I'm in a booth by myself what this is going to look like. He does. So
mm.
he understands what knobs to turn to get us both to do what he needs to do so he can cut it and put it together and make it real. I only worked with Maria when we did the sex scene, and we didn't have sex, but we did the sex scene separately. And I worked with David Harbour because that relationship was very
Mm.
important. And but the rest of it is Gunn. It's his vision, and he's a mad scientist.
Yeah, I love this show a lot. I can't wait for everyone to get to see it. And thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the great questions.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a great day.